In this update on FrostFlakes from Jack the developer, we're going to talk about Pancakeswap, trading bots, Jetbots, splash trading, and more information as well. So make sure you listen to the end. And if you are looking to get into FrostFlakes or want to start a new wallet with a new account, then see my link below where you can see how to join FrostFlakes and also my team information for Telegram. My name's Antony, and let's get on with this interview. Hi Jack, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you. How are you, Antony?
Yeah, not too bad. So we're going to do this update video because you've got a few new things to tell us, to give us updates on. So tell us more. How is all of the investing side of it going?
Well, I will actually say that in general, it's going really well. I've been really amazed and really happy to see how well all the bots are doing. So we clearly have done a good job of diversifying each of these bots and setting up some good settings, which can clearly provide some pretty good value. One of the bots have shown to give almost 13% within 5 weeks. And then that's the best bot that we have currently. And then some others are a little less, of course, but still really, really good percentages. So yeah, for the bots, it's gone really well. And for the Pancakeswap, that's just doing its own thing, more or less. Of course, a couple of people reach out asking me why the BNB balance on Pancakeswap is decreasing, but that's mainly because of the market, or only because of the market, because we are compounding every rewards we're getting each day. So since the market is going up for BNB, the amount of BNB shown on the health graph is lower than it was while the BNB price was lower, of course. So that's actually why we also added this USD, the dollar amount of the total liquidity, to show that the total liquidity in value doesn't change just because of the market movements as such, because many of the liquidities that we have are in stable coins or in LP tokens that, because of both tokens moving with the markets, the difference isn't that much.
Yeah, that makes sense. And what's the plans with Pancakeswap now going forward?
So right now, Mitch and I have been talking a little bit back and forth, and because of the current market conditions and because of the track record of Pancakeswap, we feel the most safe by using Pancakeswap. And therefore, we want to push in a little bit more into it. We're not going to push any huge percentages into it, but we will start pushing a little bit more, also just from a psychological aspect, to show that this graph for the Pancakeswap will steadily increase each day.
Cool, excellent. And how about Grizzly? How has that been going?
Grizzly have been having a tough time currently, but I've saw their AMA and been following the chats, and even though that their APIs on the different pools have been decreasing heavily, they still are very confident and calm, and all that they're talking about makes sense to me, at least. And one thing we did check before we went into Grizzly is that when you deposit anything, we can actually follow the transaction and see that we do buy LP tokens on Pancakeswap with our address. So that means that we are not holding any value directly within Grizzly as such. Mm-hmm. So I don't fear that anything in terms of malicious act or rug pulls, all that negative stuff will happen to Grizzly at all. They have some pretty huge news and something in their scope, so they might come along with various new features or add-ons. So yeah, I feel confident on still using them, but when that's said, the current total APY that we have isn't actually that great anymore. So when we started going into them, we would have about 100 to 120% APY on the various pools, or the average APY on the pools that we were using would be 100 or maybe a little bit more. Now we're all the way down to, I think it was 28 the last time I looked at it. And that's very aligned with what we have on Pancakeswap, which increases the sentiment even more on just putting it into Pancakeswap at the time given.
Yeah, that's interesting. Are there any other opportunities out there, such as splash trading?
So for the splash trading part, I spoke to the developer, and shout out to him, and he was really, really kind to pretty quickly answer all my questions on their trading and how it worked. How did they get their percentage of each profit? How would the trades set up? Which market would they be running on? And the leverage part of these trades. And even though that I would really applaud their work with their bots, because having the results that they have isn't easy to achieve at all. So they're definitely doing a really good job on that end. But since they're doing, which he told me, a 20 leverage, so it's a 20 factor leverage on the trades, the level of risk on using trades with that kind of leverage is too high currently for something that we want to jump into with FrostFlakes and other people's money. And also looking into our own bots, which aren't doing any leverage trades. I briefly the other day back tested some of the strategies, some of the settings that we have with leverage all up to actually 100 leverage, and they wouldn't be liquidated with that amount of leverage. I would never do that. Of course, I'm just saying that the way that the bot works with the DCAing, there's a very little chance of getting liquidated, even using leverage. Of course, the higher leverage that you use, the higher risk and the higher possibility of being liquidated. You could use, stop losses, which the dev from the Splash team said that they're doing as well, and that's definitely something you should do if you're doing leverage trades to avoid liquidation. But again, if you have a stop loss, the level of stop loss you need to set to have a proper, at least going forward, trading strategy should be at a factor of 1.5 or maybe 2 in terms of the profit that you want to reach. And if you just do that and you hit that stop loss 3 to 4 times or something, you would need to get into profit the double amount if you're using a factor of 2 at least to actually get into 0. So sometimes I see stop losses is also just a slow liquidation. So it's a very, very hard decision to make on how you would set these things up. So yeah, so all in all, with the Splash trading bots, they're doing a super job on this end, but with a 20 times or a factor of 20 on the leverage, we don't want to use that currently. And if we put a factor of 20 leverage on our bots, we would, on some settings and some of the bots that we have, actually be able to generate the same amount that the Splash trading bots are doing. So it's not impossible for us to achieve the same, but we're really cautious of using leverage trading.
So if we compare what we're doing on Pancakeswap, the money we're making on Pancakeswap, the amount of money we're making on Grizzly, how does that compare to your trading bot army?
But if we had, all of the liquidity in just the first bot that makes the best profit, the most profit here, we would be way better off, of course. But that's never something that we would do. We would never just take one bot and then shove all of it into it and hope that, that will go well. That's why we're diversifying into the bots. So currently the bots are, I haven't actually run the number completely, but I would say that we are more or less aligned with the APY on the Pancakeswap, and maybe so the 30% APY more or less on the trading bots. But again, if we if we increase the leverage of just maybe a factor of 2 or up to 5, and maybe just on some of them, all of that could be increased a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
But that's something that I will elaborate with Mitch on. It's nothing that we are preparing to do at this moment.
Yeah, but putting it all into perspective, your trading bots are doing a brilliant job.
Yeah, that's my take on this as well. They're doing really, really well, and I've been, for the past month or something, I've been improving the service and the resilience, etc. on it. So it's way better at if it loses some events, or if Binance seems slow on getting a response, something like that. The services has become way better, way stronger to handle all of these things on the get-go. So, or just on the go. So I don't need to review these bots and manage them just as often anymore. But one thing that we're looking into with them is to start putting a little bit more equity into some of the bots.
Mm-hmm.
All of the up and down tokens. So if you, for example, look at the first one, the first bot, it's an XRP up USDT, which means that it is called a leveraged token in Binance, and that's because the movement of this token is a little bit more volatile in the upwards direction,
Mm-hmm.
and vice versa with the XRP down token. And because of this, there are some really good scalping opportunities which these bots are taking advantage of. But then Binance knows that they have these opportunities, so they limit the capacity. Each of these up and down tokens can have a max of 5,000 USDT on their capacity. So we can't increase the equity on those, but we can increase the equity on all the normal tokens.
Mm-hmm. And just looking at I've just got the screen up now of the bots, and I'll see that you've got 21 pairs now active.
Yeah.
What's the maximum that you can go to with Binance?
With Binance, that's unlimited because Binance doesn't really know about my bot sessions in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
All of that is handled through my service and TradingView. But we are limited on TradingView, and we actually struck the limit. So we're currently at the limit of alert sessions that we can have. I can buy a higher subscription to get more bots, but at this point, I feel that it would be better to either diversify into other bots, which maybe leads you to the next question, and then just add in more equity to the current bots.
So some of these bots you would end?
No,
and
they would just keep running.
Ones? They just keep running, right?
Yeah, well, I'm keeping an eye on them every day, and if some of them ends up being too slow in that sense and not really making any profit in the end, I can merge them, or as you mentioned, take them down and then test some others.
That's cool. But overall, you're very happy with the bots. There's not going to be any big changes coming up.
No. Well, a big change would be using leverage, right? But that will require some changes in my service as well. So it's not something that I can just do right away.
And something that you mentioned to me before we started recording was Jetbots.
Yes. So as I just mentioned before, diversifying into other bot engines in that sense, or signals, is by using Jetbots. So Jetbots is a service of a signal provider, if you want to say it like that, for certain traders that, as far as I can understand, do manual trading. So it's a person sitting out there somewhere doing some manual trading and then sharing his signals through Jetbots, and then you can hook these signals up to Binance or through some of their Binance broker accounts. and then it would automatically trade upon his signals. And we've been testing this for almost past month, I think, 3 weeks to 4 weeks now, with my private funds. So they have a subscription at certain levels, and if you buy the unlimited subscription, you don't need to pay any monthly fee, first of all, and secondly, you don't pay any fee for any profits either, so none of the profits go to the trader. So I actually bought this unlimited license and started testing it on the Binance account, and it's been running in terms of getting the signals in at the certain time, at the certain price, and setting all of the trades up that the website also shows. So it's really consistent in the back testing that they're showing and what I'm actually seeing on Binance. So within the 3 to 4 weeks, I've been really happy seeing how it's all been set up and working correctly. The profits of it has also been quite good so far. Nothing huge about that, but they have potential to have some huge gains, especially on one of the signal providers in there. And so what I'm looking into right now, I'm still, digging a little bit deeper into which signals we should be using and which kind of amount of equity should we be using. But in the end, I'm getting closer and closer to diversifying our bot signals into using Jetbots to provide some signals for us for another bot revenue stream.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And when would you be looking to roll that one out, do you think?
I was maybe within next week or so. Okay, I still need to follow up a little bit with Mitch here and there, but we have it all set up. So it's actually just more or less on forwarding some of the funds that we have into this bot instead of our own bots. So yeah, we were really close to do that. And the way that they're set up is that we could also very easily diversify into other bots that they have as well. But then we are required to use their Binance broker accounts. And that's where I'm pulling the plug in that sense. I'm not going to use their broker accounts for a couple of reasons. The first one is that if you need to withdraw more than $1,000, then you need to go through their service. So you need to go into Jetbots and then picking up on their customer service and say that I want to withdraw more than $1,000 from this broker account. So once you create a broker account, they manage that, and you just feed equity into whatever you want, and then at some stage, of course, withdrawing. I'm not saying that. Well, I'm cautious about it because I don't like not having any control of it. I know that Binance is centralized, and I know that they could, block their account, and that would be somewhat similar to what a broker account would be. But I still feel that we have way more control in our own account with and not within a broker account of that sort. And then, of course, also the only equity that you can do to feed the current broker account is USDC, I think, on the Tron network. So we would need to bridge funds as well back and forth, and no, that part doesn't feel good. I don't have a good feeling about it. I have a really good feeling about using one bot on our own Binance account and then just isolate it there and have full control of it. That's how I would at least start out with it.
So is there anything else that we haven't covered? Anything else that you wanted to update the community on?
So Fury was still on with the Fury Finance. I'm not quite sure if they actually paused that at this stage. But we have been, for the past couple of weeks, been talking about that we have an eye on it. I'm still having an eye on Fury in terms of just following it. But I'm not keen on using that at all at this stage. So that is, for me, more or less dead.
Yeah. So business as usual.
Business as usual. Yeah. Just looking into the revenue stream, that's what we're going to spend, or at least I am going to spend the majority of my time on, which actually also means that, and with, with the level of new users, investors, and increased revenue streams, all of that coming in, all of that increases the amount of time and tasks I have daily to complete. So my amount of time to do AMAs, having long interviews, etc., is just decreasing heavily as well. And I definitely think that my time is spent way better in general on just looking into the protocol and the revenue streams.
Good. Well, it's all good news.
Yeah.
I know from our side of things, it's all good. My team is forever growing. So if you are interested in joining FrostFlakes and you haven't yet, or if you wanted to create a new wallet, then the links for my team are below. Jack, thank you very much for the update. It's good to speak to you as always, and we'll speak to you again soon.
Thank you, Antony. Yeah, for sure. Thanks again. Take care.